Good afternoon, you're very welcome along to World Cup Daily, and on today's show we're going to be packing it with schadenfreude as we reflect on Germany's earliest exit from a World Cup since 1938. There's going to be plenty on Brazil's performance last night, and we're also going to be looking ahead to England versus Belgium. Just which minion will England choose to knock out and crush at the quarter-final stage? We'll be chatting to John Duggan, Blanche and Raf Diallo throughout the afternoon. Phil Egan, as ever, is with me in studio. Good afternoon to you, Phil.
Afternoon, Owen.
Last night, incredible afternoon in fact. We had Brazil obviously last night, which we're going to get to in a while, but the Germans, they're gone.
I know, we can officially write them off. And when they lost to Mexico, you kind of thought, okay, we've seen teams lose, their defending champions lose their first game. They beat Sweden with that late goal from Toni Kroos. I think maybe this is a turning point. I just can't get over how bad they were yesterday.
Yeah.
There's just no urgency.
You don't believe it's all doom and gloom, and we'll get to that in a little while, but I think it's time to focus a little bit on South Korea. Have a listen to the Korean commentary from yesterday's win. Yeah, that was the reaction to Heung-min Son scoring the second goal yesterday as South Korea beat Germany 2-0 and knocked them out of the tournament. It was the death of German football, as many of the newspapers said, but have a look at this first of all. This is a funeral procession by some Brazilian fans in Lebanon, of all places. There goes the German coffin. There is, I don't know, Lothar Matthäus, Jürgen Klinsmann being carried down the street in a coffin or something. I don't know what it is. It's in Lebanon. It is the Brazilian fans getting their own back. I mean, they didn't quite beat Germany.
No, but it feels like a win for them because we were looking forward to a Brazil-Germany last 16 tie, so the Brazilians are spared from that.
Yeah, for sure. The German media, naturally, I'm not sure that they overreact, but they certainly reacted in a heavy manner. Let's have a look at Bild, the leading newspaper. This is, without words, is the headline here, the same one from the 7-1 in 2014, which does the job again for yesterday's 2-0 loss to South Korea. And I think we can have a look at the UK back pages now as well, who, of course, much like the Brazilians, are just revelling in this. Out Wiedersehen says the back page of the Metro, shock upset as holders Germany exit World Cup in the first round. We can have a look at a few more of the UK back pages from this morning.
Obviously, they're just loving it, the fact that they can't get knocked out by Germany in a penalty shootout. Yeah. So they're going to town on it.
A lesson in Schadenfreude for the Germans, that is the Times. Gott im Himmel, Germans crash out, and in Britain there's not a dry eye in the house. And then the Daily Mail, that is the Daily Mail. The UK just absolutely lapping this up. Whether or not they're going to be lapping things up over the next couple of days remains to be seen. There is kind of a little bit, I guess the Brazilians can do it because, you know, they've got a track record of winning multiple World Cups. Other than 2014, of course, they don't really choke too badly, so they can be a little bit safer in the knowledge that they've taken the piss out of Germany and it's all going to be okay. The scenes, though, and the killer scenes from yesterday, Phil, and I'm not sure if you've seen this, I'm not sure if you've seen this at home, is the Korean embassy in Mexico City. And this is the ambassador celebrating with Mexican fans after the match yesterday. We don't have that. We'll get to that in just a moment.
Think about it, though. If you're Korean and you're in Mexico last night, you put on the good suit, you go to a fine restaurant, you're not paying for it because they owe you. You bring the family out. We're going out tonight. Yeah. These guys owe us. We've kept them in the World Cup. Yeah, at the moment.
It's fantastic. It's it's definitely on a level above the Peruvian fans and the Colombian fans and all that kind of coming together in Moscow there the week before last and just having a great time together. This is when it's true love between them. You've done another nation a huge solid, even though you had no expectation whatsoever that they would come anywhere close to doing you this favour. And it was incredible. It was incredible. And you can never write off the team that's a complete dead rubber when it comes to these final group games.
Yeah, which is going to come into play as well today. But I think back to when we drew 1-1 with Northern Ireland in Belfast in 1993, were we drinking Spanish beer because the Spaniards did us a favour against Denmark.
I'm sure we drank all sorts of beer. Maybe the Spanish beer was the last one's left, but sure enough, it was drank.
Tapas. Did we go for tapas after?
Did tapas exist in...
It probably did. Maybe there was a little hidden tapas bar, but it certainly wasn't as mainstream as it is now.
We can have a look at that ambassadorial video from Mexico City. This is the ambassador you can see in the middle drinking what you can only presume is tequila in the wake of yesterday's win for Mexico by South Korea. There he is celebrating. That's one hell of an ambassador right there. There is only so many scenes like that you can possibly get in any walk of life to see Mexican fans and Korean fans celebrating in such unison.
Yeah, obviously, as I said, he's going to lap it up for the night, and I saw he spilt a bit on his shirt actually. But yeah, it was, nobody saw it coming. I said we figured that Germany, it was just a blip against Mexico, and you know, we talked about it yesterday. Sweden, they don't score many goals. What the hell happened, Mexico?
What the hell happened is right. Well, one man who definitely didn't see it coming is David Hasselhoff.
Wow, what a game. Cruz, your goal was incredible, but you guys never gave up. You had the eye of the tiger, and it's not over till it's over. I can't wait to see Wednesday's game. And veel geluk, alles klar from the Hof. And hopefully, I'll see you in the final on the 15th. Cheers.
I hate to break it to you, David, but you're not going to be seeing them in the final on the 15th. That video was released yesterday afternoon, actually, bizarrely.
Just beforehand.
Yeah, the late reaction to Toni Kroos's goal.
Not quite as bad as Shane Ross's "Come on, Katie" at the Olympics tweet when she'd already been knocked out. Did you notice the little dog in the background there?
No,
there was a little dog going by there. I was thinking, David, you better get back. I don't know if he owns the dog, but you know, there's that famous picture of David Hasselhoff with the dog.
Yeah. We might get that one up before the end of the show. Anders Svensson as well, you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, Anders Svensson, former Swedish international, said before the game, if Mexico knock Sweden out of the World Cup, that he will never eat Mexican food again. Now, that is a hell of a gamble.
And this picture we have on screen, I presume that's after yesterday.
That's actually beforehand.
Okay,
He's showing his love of Mexican food.
And he says that this is it, this is my last Mexican supper.
Yeah.
If you don't do the business.
But he, obviously, there he is yesterday after the win.
Ah, lovely.
Obviously ate too much the night before. He's just got a smaller bowl. But that's a hell of a claim to make. I wouldn't have done that before the Mexico game in Orlando in '94. You know, in this office, in the off-the-ball towers, we're fond of our Mexican food.
I would actually contend that the whole Mexican cuisine industry in Dublin would collapse without our custom.
I don't know what we'd eat.
We would just be chicken fillet rolls all day, every day, instead of sunny San Diego burritos all day, every day.
Like, I'm already thinking I'm definitely getting a Mexican after this.
Yeah, so am I. Before we get to John Duggan, just one final point in Germany. It's not all doom and gloom in your view. No,
and it's funny, like last year they won the Confederations Cup and they did it with what was a B team, essentially. And I was looking at the team that they put out, and there was 4 starters from that Confederations Cup final team that started yesterday. There was also 4 starters from the 2014 World Cup final that started yesterday. Would have been 5, only for Khedira missed the final because he was injured 4 years ago. But also, I look at the age profile. Neuer and Khedira are the only over 30s that played yesterday. I think the big problem for Jogi Löw was he was loyal to too many players that weren't in form. If he had played players that were in form, he could have had a more dynamic team. I just couldn't get over the lack of urgency and tempo. You know, you were watching the game, and when Sweden scored, you're thinking, right, Germany, you have to score now, or else you're going out. The tempo never really picked up as it should have, and I was really surprised just how they went out in a whimper. And okay, whatever happens with Neuer for the second goal, you know, he's trying to push on, create the extra man, but I wouldn't be too worried about it. You know, we had the situation in Euro 2000 when they pretty much looked into what's going wrong fundamentally with German football. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with it. He just got his team wrong. The players are coming through. They've got some great coaches. So I wouldn't be surprised if they bounce back and win the Euros in a couple of years.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to stay on. He'll probably be afforded the opportunity to make his own decision, but he's just signed a new contract. So
2022. So, but, you know, this is the guy that won the World Cup, but he's also the coach that saw them exit at the group stage for the first time in 80 years. So the people that love him for winning the World Cup are now starting to think, can we trust this guy? Because he got it horribly wrong.
Yeah, he did. There's no question about that. Let's go to Kaliningrad. John Duggan, I trust you've landed safely in the Baltic enclave, a remote Baltic exclave, sorry, I should say, as Keith Duggan described it in the Irish Times today.
Good afternoon, Owen and Phil. I'm in Kaliningrad. I have arrived, just about. And behind me is the Königsberg Cathedral. In the World War II, this city was effectively destroyed, and this is one of the only buildings that it has been restored, but has kept, it's standing, as it were. It was built in the 14th century. It's the most famous building in Kaliningrad, and there was a great philosopher called Immanuel Kant, who was world-renowned, and his tomb is here, based in this cathedral. But on the way in from the airport, I was in Tbilisi to see Brian Kerr's first ever competitive match when the Republic of Ireland played Georgia in 2003, and it was grim, folks. It was a pretty grim place at the time. And Kaliningrad has that Soviet real high-rise, huge tower blocks, the high-rise on the way in from the airport, and it has that kind of remnants of an era when it was a closed city, like Nizhny Novgorod, which I was in last week. Another closed city, a huge defence base for the Soviet Union. And even in recent years, they've talked about it in terms of a strategic landmark between Poland and Lithuania. It's closer to Gdansk than anywhere else. Of course, remember Gdansk and Euro 2012 with the Republic of Ireland. But that's where we are today for England-Belgium, 7 o'clock Irish time kickoff.
Many England fans there yet, John?
Guys, it's literally off the plane to the cathedral. That's where I've been, so I haven't seen anybody.
Right, okay. You would suspect that perhaps the numbers will be the highest. We discussed this on OTBAM earlier on this morning, John, that they might be the highest just because of logistics and all that. So it'll be interesting to get your take on whether or not they actually do turn out in force, and whether or not this is going to be the one tournament game where the England fans are just travelling in their thousands and thousands and thousands. But on tonight's game, obviously it has been deemed this sort of strange element of Russian roulette, where England, if they do, they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. Topping this group could be a disaster for them, everybody is saying. But realistically, for a team that haven't won a knockout game in a tournament in a long time, it's anything but. It's focusing on whoever you get in the last 16, which could be Colombia if you finish top. And that's a banana skin in itself, John, isn't it? I mean, I cannot for one second believe that Gareth Southgate would actually be looking at their quarter-final path.
Yeah, I would completely agree with you. 12 years, as you say, since they won a knockout game. I think they've only won 6 knockout matches since 1966 when they won the World Cup. It's just madness to be thinking of anything else but just trying to win the match tonight and giving 4 or 5 players a chance to see if they can get their way into the first 11 for the last 16 and possibly beyond. Those players that are probably going to come in tonight: Trent Alexander-Arnold, the youngest player since Johan Naismith's Charlotte Champions League final, only 19 years of age. Danny Rose could come in, both on the flanks. In terms of the 3 men in defence, I'd expect Gary Cahill and Phil Jones to come in into centre of defence. Dele Alli, whether he'll be risked or not after that thigh injury, whether he's fit enough to come back in again, I don't know. And Eric Dyer is likely to take the Jordan Henderson role in that centre of the park. Eric Dyer, who grew up in Portugal, spent most of his life in Portugal. But I think it's like 4 or 5 changes, but I don't think that's not a weakened team. That's just a different team. Of course, it's not the first 11 starters they like in the last 16, but there's always room for 1 or 2 players to impress. And I suppose the person that we're most interested in seeing tonight, lads, is Marcus Rashford. I expected him maybe to start, if you believe those dummy team sheets against the last day against Panama. He didn't. There's that role that he can play behind Harry Kane. Of course, he's got a lot of pace. Jose Mourinho might not have done wonders for his confidence, but he's a really exciting talent. Still at the age of 20. And I think Gareth Southgate is the kind of person to create the environment for someone like Marcus Rashford to flourish.
He could be the big winner.
Yeah. I think he's the person I'm most interested in seeing tonight in this match, which I think England need to go and try and win. And if it's a draw, they'll still qualify unless they start hacking people to pieces. If it's a draw, they're going to go through on the fact that they've got less yellow cards than Belgium. So if I was England, front foot, try and win the game and see how the chips fall, because we have no idea what's going to happen in the Colombia, Senegal, Japan group.
I suppose the beauty for England fans anyway, they're going to know the lie of the land with that group. But Rashford is the interesting one for me. I think you got to start Rashford ahead of Sterling. That he is a better player in that position. In terms of finishing, he's a better finisher. He's the kind of player that can come in. We've seen him do it with Manchester United. If he's on the bench, you can start him for a game. I think back to the Liverpool game, he was brilliant that day. he's just a better finisher, and I prefer his all-round game to Raheem Sterling. People will point at all the goals that Sterling scored for Manchester City, but if Rashford was in that City team, I guarantee he'd have 10 more goals.
Yeah, it's a good point, John, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just that the freedom of use, and I think Raheem Sterling, if Raheem Sterling was playing for Jose Mourinho, would he have had a good season as he's had? With those 18 goals and I think 11 assists. So, of course, we might see Vermaelen and company back this evening for Belgium. They've had groin and hamstring injuries, respectively. And Vance and company, I suppose, this is his last big chance, I think, at a World Cup, isn't it? You've had Vertonghen, who's not going to be risked because he's on the yellow, Boyata and Alderweireld for the first 2 games. But this is an opportunity for company, for Vermaelen. Also for Fellaini and Dembele, who'll probably be the defensive midfield pairing. In terms of the rest of the team, Tielemans could start, Thorgan Hazard, Aiden's brother, could start. Aiden Hazard wants to play because he wants to play against Premier League players. And then Michy Batshuayi, who probably had 1,000 chances against Tunisia. He could play the Lukaku role. So, Marcus Rashford against the likes of Vermaelen and company will be an interesting battle.
It's interesting in terms of the Belgium team. Roberto Martinez has said he's going to make changes. I think Courtois will start, but there could be 8 or 9 changes. And I wonder if England don't beat a weakened Belgium team, what it would do for their confidence going into the last 16. Belgium, if they were to win with a weakened team, I'm pretty sure that would give them a bit of confidence. But the interesting thing as well with Belgium, in terms of logistics, if they finish runner-up, because they're based in Moscow, they have less travel to do.
Yeah, that's probably that's a key point. Actually, it is and it isn't at the same time. Ultimately, the lack of travel is enhanced by the fact that you've got multiple games, and the opposition will be worn out from travelling around place to place, and that fatigue sets in at the quarterfinal, at the semi-final stage. That's still getting back to the idea of thinking about around beyond the last 16, isn't it?
It is. I've heard it called loser takes all, because of the way the draw is going to pan out. And, as I said yesterday, no player is going to admit, we weren't really too bothered, we lost. There is guys that are going to come in. Say, we mentioned Rashford. You think he's not going to be trying 100%? Batshuayi, he's a goal scorer. He wants to score goals. So the lads that come in obviously want to win. But I suppose at the full-time whistle, if they lose, they'll probably reflecting and thinking, it's not the worst. We've a handier draw. It's clear to see. You look at the 2 sides of the draw.
Yeah, we're going to have more on this in just a moment. But we're just going to take a quick break to bring you this video from Kevin Kilban, who is, of course, our other man in Russia. John Duggan is staying on the line, and he believes that Jogi Löw might be in a little bit of trouble.
I think he's under serious pressure. I was talking to quite a bit of the German press before the game, and there was a lot suggesting, and even from what they were relaying back to me, they wanted to go with the squad that went to the Confederations Cup last year. They didn't want the Ozils, they didn't want the Royces, because essentially the team that went to the Confed Cup was the under-23 team. They actually pulled quite a few players out of the under-21 squad that went and won the Euros last summer. They pulled a lot of players out of that squad to go to the Confed Cup with them. So the suggestion was that they wanted to go with that squad and leave Ozil, leave Mario Gomez, leave who else would I be putting in that bracket? Ozil, yes, leave Hummels, leave them all out. Just go with the under-23 side that won last year, where, as you talk about, they'll have the energy. They'll have real enthusiasm. Because I looked at that side today, and you mentioned the word complacent. They looked a little bit complacent to me. Thomas Muller, Dave, he's been pretty poor over the last year. He's had a decent second half to the season. But what's he given if he's not getting himself into positions to go and arrive at the end of attacks? He's not doing anything. Sami Khedira, another one. One pace now. He's not the player he was before his injuries. So you're looking at it overall. I think it does put a lot of pressure on Jogi Löw, because I don't see... I haven't seen in those 2, barring the last 20 minutes against Sweden in the first 2 matches, they were pretty average. And a lot of the chances that you created, or so-called chances, even today, you talk about the stats: 23 shots. Did you say 6 on target? They're all shots from distance, Dave. All of them were, or a lot of them were shots from early on, before the last 10 minutes, where where they did have a couple of chances. Yeah, Gomez had a good header, and Hummel's had a decent couple of chances. They were all chances. They were shots from distance, and it was fairly comfortable, I felt, for Korea. So yeah, in answer to your original question, yeah, Löw is under pressure because it's what he does now. It almost seems like this great German side that were brilliant in the last World Cup, that have been so good for such a long time now. It seems to me like it's at the end of the road for a lot of those players.
Yeah, grim assessment from Kevin Kilbannon off the ball last night on Löw's future with Germany. Leon Blanche of BoyleSports joins us in studio. Leon, how are things?
Good, Owen. How are you?
Not too bad. Are you still over the earth-shattering news from yesterday that Germany are out of the World Cup?
Yeah, look, it seems to be a bit of a repeating trend that the winner, you've got your money to go and have a free bet on the remainder of the tournament.
Cha-ching for BoyleSports customers, and Damien Sinnott is one of those BoyleSports customers who we'll be chatting to in a little while. He won a €10,000 charity bet, or a €10,000 bet I should say, a free bet is what I meant to say, at a roadshow recently, and he's put that on Brazil. We'll be chatting to him after John Duggan a little bit later on. So Leon, just on England, it's a weird game, isn't it? It's very, very hard to know what the motives are and who exactly really wants to win this group, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think having listened to both managers, it seems that Gareth Southgate wants to win. It seems he wants to keep the momentum going into the last 16. And I think he'll make less changes than Roberto Martinez. I think a couple of English players are on yellow cards, Walker and Loftus-Cheek, so they'll go out. And there might be a couple of changes, as John alluded to. Maybe Dyer will come in. I think Danny Rose might play. Interesting to see. Will he play Trent Alexander-Arnold? I don't think so yet. But England are favourites at 13-8. Belgium, I think we might see 6 or 7 changes. I think there's going to be a lot of changes to the Belgium team. And I think maybe Martinez is looking at finishing second against winning the group, as looking at him being able to progress further, because there's no doubt whoever finishes second will have the easier passage if you have aspirations of going further on in the tournament. Company will come back. How fit is he going to be? I wouldn't be at all surprised if he gets injured tonight and misses the rest of the World Cup. He would have never been in my squad. Maybe he's there as a leader, even when he's off the pitch, as in he's the one that can gel these, as people have said, individuals together, and maybe that's why he is there. He's a great player when he plays, but we've seen a lot of money for English players to get booked tonight. Ashley Young is being backed, Danny Rose is being backed, Harry Maguire is being backed. They've all shortened in price to get a yellow card, because it might just boil down to whichever team has the most yellow cards, and England have got one less than Belgium at the moment. So I don't know how this game is going to go. I'd probably just sit on the fence again and go 19-10 to draw.
It's a balancing act as well if you want to get booked, because you can't get sent off. So you have to work out what kind of foul you're going to do. Some referees, you think warrants a yellow card, but they give you a red card. So you don't want to get yourself suspended. If somebody's running by you think, I'll just give him a clip. Some refs could see it as cynical and give you a red card, and then you're out of the next game.
Deliberate handball in the middle of the pitch is a yellow card, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So that's the easiest one.
That's
just when you have the
easiest
ball
one.
in possession, just go down and touch the ball.
Yeah.
Jersey pull. Just a jersey pull.
Jersey pull, yeah. But
no black card.
I actually think there'll be goals maybe tonight, because I think some of these players who are going to come in, they will want to prove a point to both respective managers that, look, I can be relied upon. You can trust me if we get into the last 16 and you need a goal, or you need me to make a good tackle, or whatever position you play in. We're enhancing both teams to score from 8-11 out to 2-1. So it's a really decent enhancement. offtheball.com/BoyleSports. So I think there will be goals. I think Harry Kane will play, because I think he wants to play. He wants to be top scorer. He's the 13-8 favourite to be the World Cup's top scorer, and we've actually seen money for him to score tonight at any time. 1 goal, 6-5 now from 7-5. So punters are believing that Southgate will stick with Kane, and the weight of money would be leaning towards England probably winning and topping the group. But I'm still going to go, I think a draw at 19-10 is the way forward.
Okay, John Duggan, final word to you on this one. Is it going to be England-Colombia in the next round? What way do you see the whole permutations panning out here in terms of, in the context of Group H as well?
I think England will win tonight 2-0, Ian. I don't know what the odds are on that. 2-0 for England is my kind of my tip. I think England will win the game. I think they'll be on the front foot, more so than Belgium. I think Colombia will win the other group, so I think England will be playing Senegal in the last 16. I've just got a feeling that Poland might beat Japan. I think we might get a sense of was it Peru that won their last game, and Morocco played very well in their last game. Poland might just play with that freedom and could take Japan, and that's the other kind of prediction I'm making. But the big prediction today is England to win 2-0.
Yeah, England to win 2-0, John, is a 10-1 chance. So it's fairly decent. I just think Belgium, John, will be still capable of scoring a goal. I know I've said a draw. Maybe I'm going to change my mind now and go England to win 2-1 at 9-1. I think Belgium are capable. They do create a lot of chances. Yes, they probably won't win, or Hazard, I think, can set up Batshuayi. It does take him a few chances to score, but I think he's capable of getting on the score sheet.
Right, if it is 2-0, we'll bow down to your utter genius tomorrow on the show, John. Enjoy Kaliningrad and pass on our best to all the England fans.
All right. When I see them, I'll tell them that Mr. Sheahan from Kerry was in touch.
Thank you very much. Senegal, Colombia, Japan, Poland. It's been a fantastic group. Poland obviously out of the running. As we've seen this week, we cannot automatically assign an extra 3 points to Japan. They're not automatically topping this group because, in fact, if you go by this week's form, the opposite is true. The team who are down and out and have got no chance often have one last thing in the tail.
Yeah, you'd be looking at Poland, wouldn't you, for their thousands of fans who've made the trip. Not too far, to be fair, from Poland to Russia, but still, they'll be very disappointed with their performance so far at the World Cup. They just haven't been at it. They've created nothing for Lewandowski. He seems to be dropping deeper and deeper and deeper, even to try and get involved in the game. And Japan only need a point to qualify. Yes, they were given a big stroke of luck when Colombia had that man sent off early. They came back twice from behind against Senegal. So there's a bit about Japan, you know, they're not just all attack. However, they do concede a lot of goals. I think they conceded 4 against South Korea in their last kind of game in their qualifying campaign. They've conceded 3 so far here. Goals, and more goals I see in this game. I think both of them will have a go. Poland will try and salvage something from a dreadful World Cup campaign, and Japan only know one way to play, and that's to attack. I'm going to go for a draw here. I think Japan are good enough to get a point at 21-10.
The Senegal-Colombia match is, again, just like Group H has been in general, a football hipster's dream. It really is. And Colombia, like the way they managed to roar back at the weekend against Poland, you'd almost borderline have them dark horses to go quite deep into this tournament now after that performance. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself big time there, but the Falcao goal, the performance from James Rodriguez, Cuadrado was unbelievably impressive as well. Like, they're 3 potentially world-class players on the best of times, and you know they're going to qualify as far as I can see tonight. I think they're going to beat Senegal.
And then you throw in Quintero, who to me has just been a shining light. He's that type of player that can find that pass, and I think it will take something of his quality against Senegal. They'll try and frustrate Colombia. They've got 4 points. Colombia, of course, have only got 3. But I'd agree with you. I was so impressed with Colombia the other night. How good were Poland? I think that's irrelevant. I think you've got to look at how good were Colombia. And I think at 5-6, favourite backers will be looking at Colombia. A shade worse than even money. But I think they'll be looking at Colombia. And I think we talked about this the other day on the show. Even in the 89th, 90th minute, they had players chasing down Polish players at 3-0 up. Yeah. So it seemed to just, they are a unit who is together. They're playing as one. And I think they've got enough to see off Senegal. I was disappointed with Senegal against Japan. I thought they'd beat Japan, which would have given them 6 points and would have nearly put them into the knockout stages. But twice in front to let Japan come back. I was disappointed with Senegal. They do have Mane, who hasn't really set the tournament alight. They've got a couple of other decent players, but Colombia, the 3 players you mentioned, and Quintero for me, I think Colombia will be good enough to get the win.
It'd be interesting to see what Senegal do, because they changed formation for the Colombia game. They started with 4-4-2 against Poland, but then they went 4-3-3. They have their defensive line is really good. That's why it surprised me they conceded 2 goals against Japan, who wouldn't, strike me as the most prolific team. So that's where someone like Quintero is going to be important tonight or this afternoon. Can he thread those balls through to Falcao like he did for the goal, which was a great finish? There's a few question marks about Ospina, not only about his ability, but whether he's going to start, because he has a bit of an injury as well. Davinson Sanchez, we kind of gave him the big talk up before the tournament, and he's actually been disappointing enough. But I actually do think Poland are going to do something that I wouldn't be surprised if Colombia and Senegal both go through.
Neither would I. The charity bet today, I'm going to have a pop on Colombia to win and both teams to score, which is 14-5 with BoyleSports. And we're just, before we wrap up, Leon, we're going to cross over to Damien Sinnott, who's on the line, because speaking of BoyleSports, Damien, you were the winner of a €10,000 free bet at our most recent roadshow. And judging by the jersey you've got on there, I think we can see where your money went.
Yeah, happy out, yeah.
How are things?
Yeah, good, yeah. Very good. Bit of relief after last night.
They were very, very impressive, weren't they, Damien? I'm not sure, what odds did you get on Brazil before the tournament?
9-2. They pushed it up to 9-2 for me, so yeah.
Yeah, 9-2. He's looking good. They're 100-30 now.
Yeah.
And you know, Brazil set up. They're not this free-flowing all attack. They're well able to defend, and they're going to be quite hard to break down. Serbia had one chance last night. Mitrovic should have scored with that header. That would have made it 1-1. But you could see Tite had Fernandinho ready to come on. And just as well that goal didn't go in because he came on at 1-0 and then it never really looked like Serbia were going to score. So Brazil are going well, 130 favourites. They are in the more difficult side of the draw in terms of how it's panned out. But you certainly wouldn't want to be getting Brazil. They're going along very nicely indeed.
Yeah, it's been a great 24 hours for you actually, Damien, because they're not going to have to play Germany obviously as well.
Yeah, I know. On the day, like everyone was saying, oh, why aren't you going for Germany? Like they're obviously a very strong team. So I was kind of laughing yesterday when South Korea knocked them out.
You've got one over on your mates as well, something that money can't buy. How important is Neymar, do you feel? Do you think he's growing into this tournament in a nice little way at this point?
Yeah, like he's showing obviously signs and stuff. And when they're going 1-0 and 2-0 up, then he's kind of letting himself loose a bit more. But I still don't see him as the main man. Like Coutinho, in my view, has probably been the best player, not just for Brazil, just for in the tournament so far. Like he's been the most important. Like the ball for Paulinho last night was magical. Like. But yeah, like they're not really a one-player team. I think all over the pitch they're so strong, and as Leon said, like bringing on Fernandinho and himself and Casemiro breaking up the play is massive. Like,
yeah,
so all over the pitch they're strong. Like
100%, and even within Neymar, you could see that last night. I think the way he managed to hug the touchline at times, the way he gave the pass a little bit earlier, which is kind of the key point with Neymar. He does so well, and then he just takes too much out of the ball. And they did resort to that when they were 2-0 up last night for a little bit. They were kind of wasting the ball around, but Neymar all of a sudden is a team player, it seems, Damien.
Yeah, the contrast really from the first game to the last game, like against Switzerland, he just seemed to be playing in the park with his mates. He was kind of doing whatever he wanted, you know. But no, yesterday you're right, like he getting the ball and picking the right pass, and then when they were 2-0 up, he was making sure they kept the ball and not doing anything stupid.
I get the sense that if you had the bet to be placed on any team again at this point, you'd probably stick with Brazil.
Yeah. I've gone now. Brazil mad, like big fan of them. So yeah.
Well, nice one, Damien. We'll be cheering on Brazil on behalf of you and your bet over the next couple of weeks. Best of luck with it.
Thanks very much.
Very best of luck, Damien. Hope it does it for you.
Thank you.
Damien Sinnott there joining us. €10,000 of a free bet. That was a nice little wedge to win at a roadshow.
Yeah, look, I mean, it certainly was. And I mean, fair play to him. There was a lot of lads on the night. They were trying to tell him, don't do Brazil. Go Germany, go France, go Argentina, go whoever. And he said, no, I'm sticking with Brazil. He got the 9-2. They're now 130. So hopefully does it for him. It'd be great. But I think Tunisia, if anyone's want to have a bet tonight, I think Tunisia will see off Panama and see them off quite comfortably. I think 5-6 is too big. They've only lost 3 of their last 12 games to Spain, England and Belgium. We all saw how close they pushed England, and I think Panama are pretty poor. I wouldn't be surprised if there's another penalty tonight, because Panama just don't know how to defend. They just think they can foul you wherever they are and they'll get away with it. So Tunisia, for me, if you're having a matched €50 free bet for new customers, offtheball.com/BoyleSports, I'd be sticking that 50 on Tunisia, because I think certainly they're well able and well capable of beating Panama.
Right, okay. Just a reminder as well, the other offer on offtheball.com/BoyleSports is England versus Belgium. Both teams to score 2-1. Leon, Blanche, thank you very much. We'll chat to you tomorrow. Coming up next, we're going to be chatting to Raf Diallo with all your permutations over the next couple of hours. But before that, Kevin Kilban, we'll go back to a clip from him from last night. He was speaking to Joe, of course, on last night's Off the Ball, and he was talking about Manuel Neuer's twinkle toes.
It goes to show, Dave, to all the keepers, and all the suggestion was, I'd love to see Manuel Neuer playing in midfield. Look at his first touch when it come back to him. First touch was horrendous. It was a simple throw-in laid to him. He let the ball get away from him, and he got caught. He simply, yeah, you can play in your five-a-sides and you can look great in small-sided games, getting your little touch right, but his touch was awful and he got caught out badly. And it was so ill-disciplined. Through injury time, he played outfield, and there was a couple of times as well when there was another potential for a breakaway, and he was playing on the halfway line or in the Korean half. He got badly exposed, he got badly caught out, and it's a lack of discipline. It is, Dave. It is a total lack of discipline for him to do what he did. What difference is Manuel Neuer going to make? Is he going to go and beat a player, do a little step over, win a penalty? No, he isn't. He's not good enough to do that. He's trying to get an overload, to give him an extra player, but his touch suggests that he could never, ever play outfield. And I've heard the German coach say that he could probably play in the Bundesliga too, play in midfield. Absolutely no chance. Total nonsense.
Not at today's evidence anyway.
Kevin Kilban there on Manuel Neuer, speaking on Off the Ball last night to Dave and to Joe. It's time for Abacus Corner, and Raf Diallo joins us again without an abacus.
Once again, no calculator, no nothing, just using the Leaving Cert brain power that has been left with me.
It's the last time we'll have to kind of get stuck into permutations. Unfortunately. It's been emotional. It's going to be a good conclusion, though. It's Group H. May as well start with H.
I particularly appreciate the check you gave me, which had loads of zeros on it. Didn't have the glasses on, so I can't see if there was other numbers or anything on it. But yes, it has been emotional. Group G is pretty straightforward, and it also could go to the drawing of lots, which is something, again, I want to see happen.
We all do.
Yeah, they have the same record, 8 goals scored, 2 conceded. This is England and Belgium. So the winner will top the group, loser will go, and I think you used the phrase, loser takes all, and for good reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I said it, it's just so strange that, you can lose a game, but you're better off doing it. You can't, as I said, you can't admit that you want to lose, but England fans, I'm sure, have their wall charts. They're planning out what it'd be like to lose.
Yeah, so what happens basically, if you finish second, you're going to get the winner of Group H in the last 16. If you get past that, it could be Colombia, it could be Senegal, it could be Japan, you're going to get the winner of Sweden and Switzerland.
Yeah.
Now, that's a draw. Okay, be careful what you wish for, but that's a draw you do want.
That's the golden ticket.
Yeah. And then Spain, Croatia in the semis. So I think it's pretty simple what you want to get.
Yeah, it will be historic for England to get back to the semis. Of course, that would be the definition of a sensational World Cup for England.
It would be, but a definition of an England World Cup would actually be to lose to Sweden and Switzerland on penalties,
or to lose to Colombia in the last 16.
That also, yeah.
Explain to us what has to happen in Group H.
So essentially, it's fairly simple if results go certain ways. So Japan know a draw or a win will be enough to go through. We can see the groups there. They have the same goal difference as Senegal. Senegal also know the same result will send them through. Colombia know a win will be enough to go through. So it's fairly simple on that side of things. So you can also go to the drawing of lots if Japan and Senegal, if they match each other's results tonight.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That would be amazing. That's what we want. So we want Japan and Senegal to match results. And Senegal have 2 more yellows than Japan.
They do, yeah. Japan have 3 and Senegal have 5, yeah.
That's not going to happen, though. Colombia and Poland could both win tonight.
From what I've seen of the team that's already been ruled out, and we've seen, I think you were talking about it earlier, it seems that, we saw Costa Rica coming back, fighting hard.
Should have won last night.
Yeah, they should have won.
Yeah. Ruined South Korea.
I can see Poland actually winning this against Japan.
I think
Hat-trick for Lewandowski.
I think we're all in agreement with that, really. I think Leon, maybe a score draw was what he was suggesting in that. Japan are doing very, very well to be on 4 points.
They are. They're fortunate what happened in the first game against Colombia, where Sanchez got sent off early. Didn't even play that well. I think, Phil, you were watching out with me out in the office, and Japan basically, I think, was the man advantage in the second half. It told.
Yeah, I think as well, they were still a bit fearful of Colombia, and they realised at half-time they obviously regrouped and they said, we're playing a team of 10 men.
Yeah.
Let's have a bit more, let's attack a bit more. And Colombia put up a good fight. I was impressed with Colombia. The beauty of this game for Senegal is they only need a draw. They do, yes. They can sit in. They've got a decent defence. They've got players that can break with serious pace. They've got Mane and Sarr and Dai. So it is going to be tough for Colombia.
Yeah, and the thing is, Colombia can actually draw and still go through, but they would need Japan to lose. So that's another kind of permutation there. And that could definitely happen as well, because you don't know what Senegal is going to turn up. I was surprised with the way they played against Japan, actually. 2-2 draw, probably not the worst result in the world, but I expected a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. It's all going to be about England, and I think the partying has already started in England early this morning. There was a sharp-eyed viewer of BBC Breakfast this morning who was in Oldham. As you can see, a pint of beer in hand, and at 8:51 in the other corner of the screen. That's how you start your day. That's what Ireland would be like right now if we were there in the tournament. England know they're going through. They've got a low-pressure game this evening against Belgium. That's what they're calling it anyway. A weird low-pressure game is the way it seems to be described around the world at the moment. Lads, thank you very much for your company this afternoon. Tomorrow, I suppose it's going to be football. It's coming home all day, every day, really, for the rest of the tournament. We're going to kickstart the England bandwagon tomorrow after they've lost this game and have set themselves up perfectly to crush Switzerland or Sweden at the quarterfinals.
Exactly, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Looking forward to it, yeah.
Absolutely. Next up on Off the Ball, later on this evening, you've got the show on the radio from 7 o'clock. That's on all our social streams as well, the news round from 7 o'clock. It'll be Nathan it's a Thursday evening, so John Giles will also be joining him from 7:30, and indeed on the football show. We're back on OTB AM from 7:45 AM tomorrow morning, and then back here on World Cup Daily at the earlier time of midday tomorrow afternoon. We'll chat to you then. Bye bye for now.